Good morning or afternoon, class. Today, as part of Turtle Trivia, I'm just going to explain some stuff before we jump into our final tomorrow, just so that we're all on the same page. All right. Um, Real quickly, question number 11. We just went over the response, and the question was, what determines where water goes in a cell? All right. And to answer that question, in a cell, the amount or the concentration of solutes and solvent. All right. Generally, the water is the solvent. So the concentration of solutes and solvents, all right, so salts, proteins, things like that, will determine where the water goes. All right. So, for example, in this image, we see that there's a higher concentration on the inside of the cell of solutes. The solutes are the dots. And on the outside of the cell, we see that there is a lower concentration. All right. So, in this example, the water would go into the cell. All right. The reason being, the water is trying to balance out that concentration. Because there's lower concentration on the outside, the water wants to go to balance out the inside of the cell. All right, making the cell isotonic. All right. So the amount of solutes is what's going to determine, or the concentration of solutes is what's going to determine where the water goes. All right. So let's move on to our next question. And that question was number 28. All right. And that is going into one of our phenomena from this year, where we talked about the Jennifer Strange scenario. And Jennifer Strange died because she suffered from water intoxication. All right. If you remember the specifics from the story, Jennifer Strange was in the We for the We competition. And what happened to Jennifer Strange's body was she had very few solutes or sodium. She had very, very low sodium levels in her blood, and sodium is an example of a solute. And because of this, when she consumed the water, the solvent, uh, there was too much water for her blood to take on. And a lot of this excess water went into her bloodstream and wasn't able to be held there. Then it went into her spinal fluid because it was, in fact, hypertonic to the spinal fluid. And once it went into the spinal fluid, it went up to her brain, causing brain edema. All right. So she drank the water. Once she drank the water, it went into her bloodstream. When it went to her bloodstream, the blood wasn't able to take it. Went up to her brain through her spinal fluid and caused her brain to hemorrhage. And because there was no space in her brain, she later passed away. All right. So that is the Jennifer Strange example. Make sure that you're going to be able to model this tomorrow. All right. So we need to come up with a list for question number 40, a list of at least 4 of the characteristics of living organisms. All right. So in this example, we come up number 1, all living organisms have some sort of genetic material or DNA. All right. This will be passed down from the parent generation to the offspring. And you can represent DNA like that as the double helix. 2, we've talked about this extensively. All living organisms have cells, all right? Which means that they have structures that are intended to support life. Their cells also have organelles. 3, all living organisms have a limited lifespan, which means that they eventually pass away. Limited lifespan. 4, all living organisms need energy or need to consume food, water, some sort of energy, whether it's the sunlight in the case of plants. 5, all living organisms grow and develop. All right, that means that they must at some point change. In the case of frogs, it would be from tadpoles to frogs. In the case of humans, it would be from children to adults, things like that. We grow and we change over time. 6, respond to their environment. This would be in the case of humans. If something's hot, it burns you. You pull your hand back. That's you responding to your environment. Number 7, and the final one, all living organisms are able to heal themselves in some way, and all living organisms are able to reproduce. Number 8. All right. So those are our 8 characteristics of all living organisms. Make sure that you're able to explain these tomorrow. All right. So once again, to go over them, we have all living organisms have DNA. All living organisms have cells. All living organisms have limited lifespans. They consume energy. They grow and change. They respond to their environment. They reproduce. And our last one is that, yeah. All right. Now for question number 69. We need to go over how viruses reproduce. All right. For this, the capsid is going to be very important in our viruses. All right. Now the capsid is going to be how the virus. So we have our cell here. And all around the cell, we have the cell membrane. All right. So that's what's going to be on the outside. We have our nucleus in here, ribosomes, other organelles in here. All right. And the virus is going to need to get inside the cell in order to reproduce. So we're going to draw our virus here. Now, the virus is going to use the capsid or the protein to fool the cell, like we've talked about, to get inside, making the cell think that it needs the protein as part of its lifespan, as part of consuming energy. Once the capsid connects to the cell membrane, it unlocks the pump, allowing the virus to go inside the cell. And once inside the cell, the virus goes to the nucleus where it uses those structures to reproduce itself. All right. Good luck on tomorrow's quiz. Let's get started on that cheat sheet.